What do you think? 19? 20? Detective Charlene Taylor turned around and shaded her eyes with one hand, noticing her partner for the first time at the crime scene. She hadn't seen him when she'd first arrived, but his large frame was hard to miss amongst the number of law enforcement who graced the freshly laid turf of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. It was still too early in the morning for Larry's hair to be combed, and the messy gray mop was too thick around his ears. 18, maybe, Charlene whispered. She looked back at the body. On its back, eyes locked open in a death stare. The LAPD medical examiner, who'd been called in to determine a preliminary cause of death, hovered over the body. The detective knew that at any crime scene, the ME took precedence, and Charlene would have to wait her turn, but she scanned the girl over the examiner's shoulder. The African-American female had a pretty face, long curly black hair, almost crimped. No makeup. Her complexion and clear skin showed off her natural beauty. "Got a name?" Charlene asked. The medical examiner, a personal friend of Charlene's, turned around and gave the detective a "what do you think" look. "No ID on her. No pockets. Soft kill. No gun or knife used." "You found nothing on her?" "Nothing." "No phone?" "That's the definition of nothing." Kids went nowhere these days without their phones. The victim wore a cheerleader uniform. The white shell had the USC letters displayed across the chest. Underneath the sleeveless top, the young woman wore an athletic tank top, showing a section of midriff. The 13-inch white skirt had a cardinal and gold trim and covered white spandex briefs, known as Spankies in the cheerleading world. "Those uniforms don't leave much to the imagination," Larry said. "Not much money spent on material." "They wear short skirts like that for a couple of reasons." Larry raised his thick eyebrows. "I can think of one." Charlene squeezed her lips together. "Yes, for horny old bastards like yourself. But some coaches and team sponsors encourage wearing shorter skirts due to safety reasons. Too much fabric can be dangerous while tumbling." "You seem to know a lot, Taylor. Former cheerleader?" Charlene rolled her eyes. "Hardly." "Oh, that's right, I forgot. Daddy's little tomboy." She grinned. "And don't you forget it, Larry." The medical examiner stood up and snapped off his rubber gloves. He had a thin, sharp face, strawberry blonde hair parted to the left, and extremely small hands. "From my preliminary assessment, she's been dead about 10 hours. Once I get her back to the lab, I'll be able to tell you more." "Cause?" The ME pursed his lips. "I'd say asphyxiation, but there is also evidence of blunt force trauma to the left side of the frontal bone." "Could that have killed her?" "Maybe." "Object?" "No idea. Like I said, I'll know more once I get her back and wash her up. You can have your photographer snap some shots now before we move her." "Thanks, Doc." Charlene looked around the football field, where hordes of officials walked the grounds. She turned back to Larry. "Let's get to work."
Calvin Waters laid his smoothly shaved scalp back on the airplane seat headrest, closed his eyes, and gripped the armrests until his knuckles turned white as the plane's wheels lifted off the ground. The seat rattled slightly when the immense metal object suddenly left the ground and rose on its own. Calvin's 220-pound frame flexed tensely to fight off the nausea that developed. He ground his teeth. "Isn't this exciting?" The enthusiasm in Rachel's voice was obvious as she sat beside Calvin, her arm snaked inside and around his bulging biceps. Calvin didn't share her enjoyment. In fact, he had never gotten used to flying. The large black PI held his breath and didn't exhale until the plane leveled off, gained speed, and the vibration stopped completely. He let out his breath, his shirt damp with sweat. "We're good now," he said, more to himself for comfort. Rachel smiled. "You need to get over this fear of flying. I thought that your trip to South America would have cured that." "I don't have a fear of flying. I have a fear of crashing." "But what happens when I want to travel?" "We have everything we need in Vegas." Rachel pouted her lips. She lifted her legs onto the seat and crossed them Indian style. At 5'4", she could afford such luxury. For Calvin, at 6'4", he didn't have that option, as he had his bulk already uncomfortably squeezed into an economy seat.